Hey guys, welcome back. As you know, I'm Andrea, the fearless love coach. I show strong, sassy, successful women how to attract and keep Mr. Right. So today, as you can see on the screen, I've got this beautiful lady with me. Her name is Sonia Howell.
I created the Tranquil Parenting Program. I'm the executive director of nonprofit organization Tranquil Studio.
So the reason why I've got her on today is because she helps divorced parents and helps how they cope through going divorce and how it affects their children. And why I feel that's important to discuss, because as you know, I show and help single women how to attract and keep Mr. Right. And inevitably, without fail, 100% of the time, we have to discuss what happened to them as children. Typically, usually before the age of 5, but certainly by the time they've hit their teens, they've formed a relationship with their parents, of course, or their primary caregivers. They've got an idea of what love means to them. And as they get older, as they get into adulthood, as they try to find another partner, inevitably, they'll recreate some things that have happened in their childhood. So this is why Sonia is perfect, because I want to find out more about how she does what she does, why she does what she does, and what she has seen about what happens when parents are getting divorced and how it affects the children. So thank you for joining me again today, Sonia.
Thank you for
You can tell by her accent she's based in America. Whereabouts in America are you based?
I'm in Michigan. I don't know how many people know, but Michigan is the state that's shaped like the glove. So okay. I'm right here.
Okay.
Next to backwards.
Close to, is it in the east?
It's Mideast, yes.
Mideast. Okay.
Yes.
So first, before we dive in, what you do, I want to find out a little bit more about your personal story and why you do what you do.
Okay, well, the corporation or the organization does have its own mission, but I have a mission myself.
Yeah.
Of course. That's why I created this, because I was a child of divorce. Yeah. And it was kind of back in the days when mom got full custody, dad came every other weekend, and then they were battling all the time. So my dad moved like 6 states away.
Wow.
So that was, well, we got divorced when I was 3. When I was 7, my dad moved 5 states away, 5, 6, whatever the number is. So I didn't see him again until I was 18.
Wow. So you had literally no contact with him?
No contact. Even my grandparents, very minimal. Right. So there's, a lot of drama and stories and whatever from both sides, either my mom's version or my dad's version. I really don't care what the version was. I just wanted my parents.
Yes.
And I had a wonderful stepdad. If you ask my dad, he was the best stepdad my mother could have chosen for me. Wow. But of course, every child wants to know their own parent, regardless if it's the best step parent. And I can say he was the best step parent. He was awesome. But it's painful. It's very, very painful, which my father said the words to me the last time I saw him, just hold your love for me. I'll be back. Not that he's leaving and he's never coming back. He didn't know that. But it was kind of like, hold your love until I see you again. Yeah. And he still says, I don't see him on holiday. I've never spent a birthday with him. So it's one of those, it's just different. Our relationship is different than what other children have, where the child is in the home or the child is, right down the road from their parents. So that was hurtful for me. I mean, I was a passive child. So I was just like, oh, okay, whatever, Dad, love you, see you later, bye, But my brother, he took it a lot more internally, and it's devastating to some children, absolutely devastating. They pull that guilt and that fear and whatever else that they've pulled with them into the future. And for me, like, I never saw an example of a loving parent-parental relationship. So as I got older, I didn't necessarily know what to look for at all. I saw my grandparents, but I was very young when my grandfather passed away. But, you just don't have an example. You have no idea. So what you think it is possibly isn't. And then do you want to find out when you're 30?
Well, yeah.
right? Or do you want to, you know what that is and have an example of that when you're younger? And then if there's multiple marriages your parents go through, then you're like, so what? So it was good at first and then it stopped being good. It was good at first, stopped being good. Like the long lasting relationships, the statistics tell you once you get married once and you get divorced once, then you could possibly get married and divorced again. It's just statistics.
It actually get increases. Yeah, it's true.
But and then what type of man do you want? You don't even know what type of man you want if your dad's not there. You have a step parent, you could possibly look for that type of gentleman also, but you're like back and forth between two men. You do want someone like your dad, your stepdad. So it's confusing. It's very, very confusing for children to know who they want to look for. Is this good? Is this abusive? They don't know what toxic abuse. They don't know what any of that is because they don't have anything stable. I'm thinking. So that's kind of where I went as I grew up. I didn't necessarily know. I didn't really date anyone. I actually.
But even when your mother, what age were you when your mum remarried?
I was 3. I was 3 or 4. I was very, very young.
So you were still very young. And did you?
Yeah, very, very young.
Did you? So it was just. Did it feel quite natural to you in terms of bonding or connecting with your stepdad?
Well, no. I bonded with my stepdad just fine. That wasn't even an issue. It was just they weren't very loving either. So I didn't necessarily know. Like I thought, it was more of like a parallel relationship. I mean, I don't even know if that's a term or not. But it just seemed like they were just like going. But they loved each other. There was no doubt in that whatsoever. And I felt love for my mom. I felt love for my stepdad. I felt love for my dad. But I didn't necessarily see like what I thought, And then you have the imagination of like Cinderella and the slipper and this prince and, all of this other Disney.
You're about to swear. Apparently, she swears a lot. It makes me laugh. It's okay
Disney,
if it does.
Okay, I replaced the word with Disney. I said Disney. Okay, so, but you see all of this other like, imaginative like relationships. You just don't know what a successful relationship is.
Yeah. And did
you really
decide not to date? Or you weren't bothered?
Or I don't know. Maybe I put it out into the universe that I wasn't interested.
Okay.
And like people didn't come to me and I didn't go to them. So, I mean, I had friends, I had like boyfriends, but it was nothing like serious. So my first, I didn't have children until I was 26, got married around then, of course. So, but I mean, yeah, I had relationships, but they were very short or not successful as far as like not knowing. I wasn't looking to get married. I
was just going to ask you that. I mean, were you turned off by marriage?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I didn't know if I wanted to.
You didn't know if you wanted to, but okay. So what made you decide to get married? Was it because he asked or you fell in love?
I loved him very, very much. And he asked and I said, yeah. And then we're like, oh, okay, let's have a kid. And then we had a kid, but I just didn't know what one was supposed to look like. So my how I acted in my relationships was how I acted with my brother, which, siblings argue all the time. So that's what I thought was successful. That's what I thought people did.
Right.
Because, my parents argued, but not like my brother and I, like, we were like,
yeah.
Over, stupidest things like what channel we're watching, because I just didn't know how to relate with another person. The person I spent the most time with was my brother. So, of course, that's what it looked like.
Okay.
It wasn't very fun, but it was fun, but not fun,
Yeah. How long were you married for?
About 6-7 years, and then we kind of separated. Then he got ill with cancer and he passed away. Okay. And then I immediately jumped into the next relationship.
How soon are we talking from?
Yeah, immediate.
Okay.
It was immediate. Not even done with caring for myself, looking at myself. Who am I? Nothing. Like immediate. Didn't heal. I did get a therapist soon after to try to help me, and she was just like, Yeah, you don't have enough experienced relationship to know what you're even looking for.
Mm.
Or, you know, you're just like going with the flow.
And
Yeah, probably.
did that register? Did it bother you, or you just thought,
I
whatever?
was just like, it just went on my to-do list. I
Yeah.
should probably do.
Okay.
And then, of course, by that time, I was already pregnant, getting married. And then it was like, oh, wow, this guy and I don't match at all, but we have this child. So then another child comes along, and then,
Right.
you know, we have two total different parenting styles, absolutely different parenting styles, where mine is like, not necessarily sink or swim, not in water anyway. But, and his is, you know, he wants to be there to help them with whatever challenge they have. And me, I'm just like, oh, how'd that work out for you? What do you think would be best? Let me know. I have faith that you'll figure this one out. And he's, you know, there at the table helping them do homework and things. And I'm looking at him like, why are you doing homework for them? He's looking at me like, why aren't you? So, you know, but we didn't figure that out until after we had kids and they were old enough to try, you know, to do things. I'm like, why are you helping them walk? Well, why aren't you putting them on the floor? You know, letting them figure it out. So that, you know, there's just a little, you know, total differences in parenting styles, which I didn't even think that was an option. I thought everybody parented the same.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because every time when a woman comes to me and she knows that she wants to get married and she knows she wants to have children, the one thing I absolutely get her to do is to get clear about how she'd like to bring up her children, and have the discussion with him to see whether they gel that way, because I know if that doesn't gel, they're gonna be pulling apart.
We even took that test. We even went to the city. We went to the city and said you had to take this test to see how well you matched everything. We did that test.
Yeah.
And we still got married. We still had kids.
Okay.
And the biggest thing is he didn't want me to work. And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm working. You know? So like right off the bat, we already had that in conflict. But he was like, yeah, she's working already, so fine. You want to work, fine. But he wanted to be the breadwinner, whatever. We got married anyway, had 2 kids. That was about another 6-7 years. So maybe I just can't get past the 7 years.
The 7-year itch. Okay. Yeah.
So then I got married a 3rd time, and that was like not even for a year. I was like, oh, this is a bad choice. Okay, bye.
So what did you? So three marriages. By the 2nd marriage, did anything change within you in terms of the decision you're going to make for your 3rd marriage, or?
Yeah, I figured out that I need to know the person better as a person prior to getting married. And then the 3rd person I know my whole life. So I thought we were, you know, kind of on the same page. But then after being in the same home for a little while, it just, I don't know. I mean, I'm still not sure what happened there.
Okay.
But I wasn't going to just stick around to, you know, just for 7 years, just to see if we could like pull it together. So, and that's what I tell my kids. If, you know, out of all of this, the thing that I would say is get to know the person. Or at least, I mean, you don't have to be the same, but know each other in like the sense of who you are, not like what you've done or where you're going, you know, that type of stuff, but that you can like be with each other and grow with each other.
So may I ask who filed for divorce on the 2nd marriage and the 3rd marriage?
Well, the 2nd marriage, that's a long story. So that was like a total misunderstanding. I didn't even want a divorce. So my mom and him didn't get along, and she was texting me, telling me that, you know, she wanted me to leave him, and then she planned this whole thing where I could buy her house from her and pay rent, da 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 da. So I'm in the shower, just got a phone. I didn't know anything about it really. I'm in the shower. He gets the phone and he's like, "So you're leaving me?" And I'm like, "What?" And so then that just turned into an argument and went really sour. So we ended up separating. But I had already been hurt from, we had like hospitalization things with the kids, and we didn't actually heal from that. So I don't know. So he ended up filing.
Right.
And then the 3rd, it was a mutual. We didn't actually even go to court or anything. It was mutual. We just figured it all out by ourselves and separated.
And how do you know it was over between a year? You know,
I don't know. Like it was just silence in the home, just absolute
Wow.
silence.
Wow.
So,
Okay. And throughout this time, what were your thoughts and feelings about what was happening to your children as they were growing up and
well,
seeing mummy
that
go through this?
they that they also would not have a great representation of what they need to know about relationships in order to find what they want.
Mm.
And well, for one, I didn't want them to think that some of the things that happened were acceptable behavior and that someone will just go along with that. So that's why I didn't want to stay. But
Yeah.
then me leaving, I didn't want them to think that, oh, you just give up right away.
Yeah.
But some of the things were, there were physical abuse, there's different
Mm.
things. And then there's like, if you just are not matching whatsoever after 7 years and you guys are arguing over the piddly little things all day long every day, that possibly could have been seen. And
Mm.
there's another thing my therapist said, you just don't have enough experience. Like most women can look at a man and be like, that is not what I want.
Yeah.
Within like 3 weeks. You'd be
Yeah.
like, I am not wasting my time on that. And then me, I'm just like, oh, okay, everything's having a good time. So one of the judges I work with, she told me that I'm an eternal optimist.
Right. Yeah.
I'm always like, and I know, I'm not really naive. Like I observe, but I'm just like, oh, hearts, rainbows, butterflies. I don't watch the news. I don't watch ugly things. I want everything beautiful, tranquil, da 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 da. Da. And I believe that's one of my weaknesses, but it's also one of my greatest strengths
Yes.
because I can look at something and say, you know what? I don't see a wall. I see that we're just like, you know, we could be doing a carnival ride. I don't care.
Mm.
All
Mm.
right, let's take this for a ride. Let's try this out for a little while. Okay, cool.
And I think the great thing about that is that from what, just by listening to you, is that you're not jaded. You're not going never again, which is often the case. And they
Now,
give
I
up
think,
never finding love or meeting someone or having this great relationship.
yeah, I don't know about that. I think that love can always happen, and it
Mm.
doesn't necessarily have to be exactly um, the end result, marriage,
Mm.
but whatever it is for that person. Like for me, I might want one thing, the next person might want marriage, and if that's what you want, great, good for you. Just
Mm.
be creative and come up with your own reality of what you want to do.
Mm.
And in this world, a woman, in this world can do whatever she wants.
Mm.
I have, okay, so I cashed out my retirement, my last divorce, cashed out my retirement. He bought the house from me. I bought a house. My business is downstairs. My house is upstairs. It's totally decorated because I'm this old already and I have everything I possibly want. So now all I'm doing is working, paying the bills, and living out my mission as far
Mm.
as keeping, trying to help others not have their children end up like me, where they're
Mm.
gone through multiple relationships where they said yes to the person who said, will you marry me? Because you're like, oh, well, they do love me. You're
Mm.
sitting back going, just waiting for that person to love you. And then you're like, they do, they really do. They said they love me, so I'll marry him. And
Mm.
then you're like, oh, this is marriage?
Mm.
I was more happy by myself.
Mm.
Like, I
Mm.
love being by myself. Sorry,
Mm. Mm.
maybe. But,
Mm.
of course I have relationships, but it's not, my goal is not right now anyway.
Mm. So what would you tell, based on your experience, what would you say to someone, a woman who's been divorced and she's met someone? What, if you could give her the top 2 or 3 tips or things to look for, what would you tell her?
And to look for as far as for themselves internally, or
Whatever you think
the
is
next
important.
okay, before you move on to the next relationship, of course, realize if you have a pattern of dating men that are the same way, that you think are physically or their demeanor is attractive, but that demeanor also has a downside. Every personality has a perk and then a downside.
Yeah.
So say that you love the bad boy style,
Yeah.
right? What comes with the bad boy style? The downside of the bad boy style. So find out if there's a pattern of what you have dated before that brought you to you don't like that person after, 7 years and you get divorced. Figure that out first. Well, not first, but at the same time, whatever. I don't necessarily have a timeline, but I would say the next would be to figure out yourself, love yourself, like absolutely love yourself. Like if you don't love yourself, no one else can love you, obviously. But who cares if, like, I've known so many beautiful, strong women that they don't ever even want to get married. They don't, maybe a relationship here or there, but, just friends, not necessarily, do you have to be dependent? Do you have to be independent? What are you looking for you? Because I see so many women that are sitting there dependent on what the man is willing to offer.
Right.
And then you put yourself away, and then you're like, I don't see my friends anymore. I don't see my family anymore. And then you're resentful. And you've like gone away from who you are. Just be who you are. And they'll come along. They'll come along.
Yeah.
And that happened to me. I've said yes to all three. I'm very, very, very thankful for my children's fathers. I love my children.
Of course.
And, my first husband was the most romantic, most wonderful husband, most wonderful dad. So my second one, he's the opposite of me. He's very, very strong in his ways. And maybe we debate a lot because I'm very strong in my ways. And that's why, it didn't work out. But he's a really, really good dad for the kids that we have. And we share 50-50, like parenting time and everything. Like we don't debate over, anything like that. So, and what my dad would say, I'm going to bring out my dad's, that would be the third. My dad's is, don't be with someone that you wouldn't want your child to be with.
And this is very important for moms, dads out there, or single parents right now. Can you just say it again? Could you say it again?
Yes. Don't be with someone you don't want your child to be with.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly who your child is going to look for.
Wow.
If they grow up, they're going to be like, I want someone just like dad. I want someone just like mom. And then you're like, oh. So that's his biggest thing ever. Without everything, I'll be like, hey, Dad, what kind of bed should I get? Well, what kind of bed would you get for your daughter? Just like, with everything. Which church would you go? Would you go to this church or would you go to, well, which church do you want your child to be in? Dad. Seriously, it pretty much goes with anything you could think of, and especially dating. Because if you get with a guy who's walking around and he's not an alcoholic, but he likes to have drinks, he likes to have parties, that's who your daughter's going to look for.
Yeah.
If you're going to get a mom, you're going to get a stepmom for your child, and your stepmom sits around sewing blankets all day long and doesn't want to communicate with anybody in the world because she's an introvert, but, she's a wonderful introvert, your son's going to be looking for an introvert. So you have to think of where your child is going to go next in the future. And if they, so in another example, if you argue with your ex all the time or your child's parent, your child and your new spouse or your new girlfriend doesn't want to co-parent with you or doesn't want to watch you co-parent, doesn't allow that, then that's another thing that's going to hurt your children's relationship with you. Yes. Your children's relationship with their husband or wife later. If they learn to disrespect their mom because the dad is alienating or, the step parent is alienating, then your child's going to learn to disrespect and alienate even if they get older and, they get married and have children, your child's going to learn that that's the normal pattern to do. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that was 4. Sorry.
Yeah, no, perfect. That's great. The much help we can get, the better. So tell me then, at what stage do you get involved? So when is it a couple a married couple who are getting divorced? At what stage do you get involved, and what exactly is it that you do?
Okay, so I get involved in any stage.
Right.
Some people come to me and they're like, listen, we've heard about the program. We're just about to get a divorce. We don't want to use the court system whatsoever. We want to make our own decisions totally. We don't want someone else making them for us.
Okay.
So we start right off.
Yeah.
Some of them have been in the court system and they're okay, besides they're not really co-parenting. They're more parallel parenting, where mom's making decisions at mom's house, dad's making decisions at dad's house. They're not necessarily communicating well, and they want to go, they want to grow as co-parents.
Yeah.
And then the next one is where the court files are this big, and they haven't been able to co-parent. They haven't been able to use therapists. They haven't been able to, the judge has laid the law down on them, telling them absolutely what they have to do, and they're still arguing, bickering, and they're in the courts all the time. They spent $50,000-$60,000 on arguing over holidays, or, the kids always got a rash, or the kids always have, chapped lips, or, there's something where they're just not cutting it. And the judges are like, listen, you've asked us to make all the decisions for you. You guys still want to argue about it, even though we've made the decisions, because you guys couldn't. So here's the program.
Right.
So then the court ordered to see me with the program.
So does that mean both parents see you?
Yes.
Okay.
Not together in the same room.
Right.
The same. But it's not a therapy session. It's nothing like that. And it's not me telling them what to do.
Right.
So maybe a little bit, but yeah. If I could back up just a little bit. So what happened with me is that when I was going through this divorce with my second husband, there was so much frustration and not too much. I mean, we had a program here that one of the major universities that everybody knows the name to across the universe created this program to pretty much, it's 20-minute video, about a half an hour program, smashing, into your face how your children feel when you guys don't get along. Okay. And it was called the SMILE program, or the CV, or something like that. So there's two different ways. One was for married parents, one was for not married parents, but it's pretty much the same thing, showing like how you're damaging your children. Right. So that was about the only thing that was available here, or the discipline or consequence from the judge. Okay. And that wasn't good enough for me. I needed to know more. I needed to know more and more and more. So then I started looking into the world and seeing that there is, here in America, there's something called Children's Bill of Rights when it deals with divorcees, which means that you're allowed to know both parents. You don't have to pick sides. You different things. So in our court system, we have like these 12 defined ways of dealing with trying to figure out who's the best parent. Right. So with all of that nastiness, for me, in my mind growing up, I'm like, listen, my dad should have been able to be my dad 24/7. My mom should be able to be my mom 24/7. If I needed to talk to my dad about something, I should have been able to call my dad. If I should need to call my mom, I should have been able to call my mom. Like, it shouldn't be that way. Like, they both made me. I should have been able to still, even if they're not in the same home, have my mom and dad. I mean, how dare my mom and dad ask someone to decide who is my parent? No. I mean, the judge, of course, is just doing their job. The judge is, you bring questions to the judge and say, who do I get to live with? And the judge is forced, because it's their job, to say who's the better parent, depending on what, their community has decided these rules. So me, I'm like I had to find some way for myself to cope and figure out how to do this, because I was always feeling guilty and feeling like a bad mom. Like this was the most horriblest thing. Of course, I live in a community with my family is not here. Right. But his family is, but I'm not going to take them to my family's community. This is where they were born. I'm not going to do the same thing that my mom did to me, I'm not, there's two versions of every story. Maybe she didn't play keep away. Maybe she did. I don't know. I wasn't really there.
Yeah.
I was a child. So I wanted to stop that from continuing, like for people to have options, because like most people don't know that there's options. They can do this on their own. They can make their own choices, even if they're divorced. So then I started taking parenting courses. Like I said, I didn't think that I was a good enough mom because that's part of my guilt thinking. And then how about the whole co-parenting thing versus parallel parenting versus like, what is all this terminology? Like, so I just want to know more. So it took me like maybe about 3 years or so of trying to like learn this information. So then I started getting certified in all these. So it's kind of like pulling things together as well as like, I've got my little card here so I don't remember, or so I don't forget anything. Like conflict management courses and co-parenting courses and coping techniques and, what does preventing cruelty to children really, really mean?
Yeah.
So I started all these courses, got certified and all this stuff, and pulled like the little pieces that had to do with like divorcees, pulled it all together, and I started helping other friends. And then it started like the word got out that there was more and more, more and more people coming to me saying, hey, what do you want? Da, 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 da. How can I do this? What have you done? And I have to say, my ex and I never call him my ex in like real life, only in like this, so people know who he is. Respectively, he's my children's father. I did choose.
So that in itself about the language you use is very fascinating.
Yeah. I would never tell my kids my ex. Like, it's your dad.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll put this in a nice way. So two parents make a child, right? Half mom, half dad. Put it together, the child is half mom, half dad. If you say that dad is a piece of crap, mom is not, and you look like this, the child is half a piece of crap.
Yeah.
They're always going to be insecure about themselves because they're half of the other parent. So sitting there like being mean is only hurting your child, making them think that they're half a piece of crap. That's the nice thing.
Do you think, when a couple are separating, they're getting divorced and they're arguing about the child or the children and what should happen to them, in your opinion, do you think they are thinking about the children or they're still fighting amongst themselves?
Well, one thing, if you think of, a lot of people think to the past of how it used to be done, and they're not thinking, if you're in your mind, if you think therapy-wise, if in your mind you're thinking in that term, you are not using creativity. And that's why I put art therapy in this, because I pull out the creative side of them and get them in a pattern of doing something creative so they can expand their mind and open up to creating their own family as they transition. But no, most people are looking to their family members or their friends, and their friends and family are saying, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. You need to da 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 da. So then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. So then they start jotting notes, and so they've possibly had their own agreement. Okay, we're going to do shared parenting, the most shared that we can possibly do with our work schedules. I know some parents who live together, and
they're divorced.
Yeah, and they're just different shifts.
Okay.
Some parents live separately, different shifts. Mom goes to work, takes the kids to the daycare. Dad gets out of work earlier, picks the kids up, feeds them, gets their school started. They go back to mom's because they're going to wake up with mom in the morning. Some parents do like they call it like a 3-5 or a 2-5 split. Some do 50-50 week on, week off. Some do, every 2 days, whatever. And the parents that I work with have created what their schedule would have been in their homes, which is the most successful. What it would have been in their homes, and just expand that to 2 different locations. And that would be the most healthy for a child, depending on their schedule. Not necessarily 50-50. The children's dad and I, we do have 50-50, 1 week on, 1 week off. We've been divorced since they were 3 and 5. So they're so used to doing the split parent, split thing. And they, if they get into an argument with one of us, well, I want to live with dad or I want to live with mom. I'm like, oh, that's cute that you think you can decide because we're the parents.
Yeah.
Thanks for I understand you're upset right now, but
yeah,
when you're 18, you can make that decision.
So what's your opinion on single mums?
Single moms, the single moms, how they, if as long as they're being creative and if the father is not involved and it's not their decision, or they're not ready to have the father involved, doing some sort of creative, soul searching or thinking, because I'm sure that there's guilt in their minds. I'm sure that there's other feelings that are in their minds that a therapist can help pull out. I'm not a therapist, so I wouldn't be able to help pull that out. I could put them in the direction on how to pull it out, but I would really hope that they would see a therapist on how to pull that out. Because if the father is not a healthy person and they've got guilt thinking that they should have the dad involved, but knowing if they're on some sort of drug, you know what I'm saying? If there's something that, or there's something that's very, very extremely toxic to them, that it wouldn't be healthy for the child. That's for the mom to decide. But the feelings that they have about just being single and the father not being involved, I would hope that they would learn how to heal and have some sort of coping technique to remove those feelings. I'm not necessarily saying single moms that I look at every single mom and be like, why aren't you sharing? I'm not like that either. I'm sure there's something that they've learned in their childhood that this is the best interest of their child.
Yeah. And how would they, based on what you said before, preferably in an ideal world, it would be the father and the mother. So if they are a single mother, how will they bring that other element, the other parent, into that child's life? And if literally the parent can't be there, what would you suggest they do as a single mom?
As a single mom, and they want to bring a father figure in?
Yeah. Or if they're a dad, the opposite. Yeah. What would you suggest?
Right. Okay. So if they want to bring another figure in, I would say that I do have a program where they would have to be, in my opinion, not necessarily knowing either their personalities, but in my opinion, the simplest way I can put it is having the other person be more of a consultant to the child, but a wonderful example of what say that the mom is pulling in a dad, that the dad would have to be a wonderful example, loving example of how a family should look.
Okay.
And the mom would be able to decide, is this person an acceptable person for the child to mimic? Because the whole saying, monkey see, monkey do, that's exactly it. You could say, don't get with someone who does drugs, but then you get with someone who does drugs, and then your child's like, oh, okay, so that's acceptable. So here's my 16-year-old boyfriend while I'm 14 doing drugs, and so I'm good. Mom does it. So, that's I would say, once again, like my dad, bring in someone that you want your child to look up to. Because they will do exactly what the person does.
And if they can't bring in a physical being, say it's just, I want to be a single parent and I want to be the parent, how can they bring that balance into the child's or children's life?
Well, what's the saying? I don't remember the saying. The community builds the child.
So okay, yeah.
Use the community. Use your brother. Use your sister. Use your uncle, use your, like at church, if you're a believer, there's people at church that can help. I have the most wonderful godfather for my daughter who's missing her father.
Yeah.
And he chose the godfather. So, he's a really, really strong person. He's the person at the table that says, kids, sit up to the table when you eat. So, don't lean back. He's that type of person. But then he's also the biggest teddy bear that all the kids run to.
Yeah.
He doesn't grow. couch. What happened? I love kids. Come here. And they're like, pass me by. And I'm like, oh, maybe I don't know. Maybe he gives better hugs. I don't know what's going on. But, a community member, someone, I mean, you don't even have to be religious in order to say, hey, will you help me sponsor and take care of my child? As far as an example of, another human being. Or there's also, in America, there's something is called like the Boys and Girls Club or something, where they have like an adult who helps with your child who is with an organization that can take your child to the movies or, something like that to help you build strong relationships with your children that are trustworthy. They're total strangers, but people do it.
So you think there should be someone external just to bring more of a balance? Okay.
Oh yeah. Because as soon as we knew my first husband was passing away, it was like we weren't even divorced yet. We found out he had terminal cancer. So we were still in the stage of let's try therapy before the divorce. And then we ended up going to 2 separate homes. He ended up getting very sick very, very quick. But the social worker that came to our house was like, you need to get your child with other people, not just you. I was working. So we put her in school when she was 2.5 years old.
Wow.
Because she was with him. I was the worker and he stayed home taking care of everything.
Yeah.
And he was with her all the time. So she was like devastated.
Yeah.
She needed examples of how other people worked.
Yeah.
Even if it was other peers or something. I don't know. I definitely think some sort of relationship, allowing them to know, because if they don't, they're going to grow up and they're going to be like, what am I supposed to look for?
Yeah.
And of course, the first thing that comes is for children is the affection. And of course, we all know that affection is not the same as love. Then their heart gets broken. So I think having positive adult role models as far as even just to watch for them to see. So they can observe and see what is acceptable. And that they argue. People argue.
Yeah.
Let them see you learn how to communicate with each other.
Essential.
They're gonna have to.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would your like, if you give like top 3 tips to couples who are getting divorced, what advice would you give them based on all your experience? What do you think the most pertinent advice would be?
As they're getting, so with the program, the top things that I would have them do is get rid of all the conflict.
Okay.
As far as making a plan for your child from birth to 18. Total plan.
Wow.
Immunizations, what type of immunizations, what kind of care, whatever. And then know that in 5 years, all of your answers can be different.
Yeah.
But just knowing that that's just evolving.
Right.
Like this plan is it's not set in stone forever. It's most divorcees, when they come to me, they don't feel that they've been heard at all. They give all their information to their attorney. The other one gives all their information to their attorney. And then you get to the judge. The judge is given like 70 questions to decide for these parents. And the judge is like, are we going to have a trial on this? Or can you guys figure this out or what? And these are things that they normally should be able to figure out on their own. What daycare they're going to go to, what school they're going to go to. They figure all of that out. And then know that it's going to be an evolving plan.
Okay. Yeah.
So taking the idea that this is an argument out, knowing that you're going to have this plan that's going to change.
Okay.
And that it's okay.
And that's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Don't have to be rigid, but it's to at least have some formula, something, a foundation to work with. Okay.
Right. So, and that you get to decide. And if you don't decide, then the judge is going to decide for you. And if the judge decides for you, both of you could absolutely hate it and have to live with it at least for 36 months.
Right.
Because
Okay.
you can't go back all the time. Here in America, we can go back every 36 months.
Okay.
But there has to be some sort of change. You can't just go back and just keep going back and keep going back and keep going back for no reason. And they're like, so why are you asking for this change? Well, I don't know, because I didn't get what I wanted. People say no. There has to be some sort of, well, she moved 50 miles that way, I moved 40 miles that way, and school is still 50 and 40 miles from us. Let's change schools. Okay, so that's something the judge would be like, yeah, okay, let's move schools. You guys figure it out. Bring it to me, and then I'll make a decision. If you guys can't make your own decision, you just spent, $2,400 just for that 10 minutes with the judge, and you still don't have an answer because you didn't bring enough information. So the biggest one is get rid of the resentment by making your own decisions.
Okay.
Another one is figure out who you are. Once again, figure out who you are. Figure out your coping technique. If your coping technique is to buy a dog, so you have something other to do, other than like sit and complain about your ex, figure out what you're going to do when you don't have your children with you. The other one would be my biggest thing, if I could brainwash every parent, is that the mom is the mom 24/7, the dad is the dad 24/7. The only thing different is where they lay their head.
Okay, I like that.
Like, it's not, I won't get the kids on my birthday. I'm not going to sit and cry about it. I have in years past, but so instead I just had my birthday on Sunday, and I did have it. It doesn't, and that also comes from my dad, where, I was crying to him on the phone. I was like, I really want to see you for Christmas. I really want to see my granny. I couldn't get the 5-6 dates away. Didn't have the money. The weather was starting to get bad. I couldn't get the days off of work. And if I had the days off of work, my oldest daughter didn't have the days off of work. I had my kids for 20 days in a row and could not get there. So I was sad. And he's like, he's from Tennessee.
Say that again?
He's from Tennessee.
Oh, okay. So that's quite a ways away from where you are.
Yes. So he says, baby girl, don't worry. Every day we're together is a holiday. You know this. Great. So, and then you think, I've never spent a birthday with my dad. Never. So, and we're still okay. So if we're okay and we've never spent a birthday together, my birthday or his birthday, and we're still okay, I think my kids and I will survive. And just do things differently. Just be creative with it. It doesn't have to be so calendar. The calendar was created for, agriculture, right? I mean, or documenting years or whatever. Why does a calendar have to be specific on when the kids are going to open up Christmas gifts, if that's what you believe in? It has to be Christmas morning. No, just do whatever. Because if not, all you're doing is teaching your kids how to hate the other person, and you're teaching the kids to envy someone else or be jealous of someone else, or to dislike, and how not to get along and how not to be passive. And you don't want them to always have to be so strong. They can learn to go with the flow on some things. I mean, not everything has to be disappointing.
Is that at any point you would suggest a parent ask the child, and if what the child would want, and if so, at what age?
Well, it depends on where they would go. Absolutely not, actually. Okay. I'm in the belief of I do believe in hierarchy. Yeah. I believe that the children should be kept out of it. I believe that the parents just make the decision and tell the child. Because if you ask the child and the child says, oh, I want to be with dad on Christmas, or I want to go live with dad, then that child will have that guilt in their mind forever. And if you look at statistics on letting your child choose which parent, those are usually the children who commit suicide later in life are the ones who had so much guilt in their mind over making choices like that.
Right. Okay.
So there is a huge, huge, huge subject of um, the children who are pregnant earlier are the ones that don't know what the relationships are and look for love. So they have sex more often because they think that's love in a relationship. They get pregnant because they have more sex. And then there's the ones who their coping technique turns into alcohol or drugs because it's so ridiculous at home that they go out with this crowd and they hang out with people, feel good people because it's not happy at home. So a lot of the statistics wrapped around suicide, drugs, birth, all of those things that society is like, trying to keep away from these children are actually being brought to them by their parents. And then the parents like, I don't know why my child is like that. Well, and then they start blaming the other person. So dad smokes marijuana, so now my children smoke marijuana. Well, your child smokes marijuana because it's a great coping technique for them, and it just happens to be available because their dad does it. So shut up, leave the kids alone, and if they do it, they're going to do it regardless. But have them come up with a coping technique like when they're younger. Teach them a coping technique when they're younger. They could mock your technique. Like my kids love doing art. They love it.
Yeah.
That's my coping technique.
Yes.
Then they started doing roller skating. So they enjoy roller skating. They have their own personalities now that they're older, and they do what they want to do, not necessarily what I do. But I mean, I like to read, so they like to read. They like to watch movies. I don't watch movies. I do some of them, but not like, I don't know, I watch Mary Poppins a little.
Are you the modern day Mary Poppins?
I am, actually. Ask anyone. Like the sarcastic, I can't swear, right? So sarcastic one. Yeah. So, anyway, it is me, actually. I'm very, very, my kids know. But everything was a song, too, They knew. They get out of the car, and they had to get on the yellow line. And that was a song. And when we were at the store and I was moving from one place to the next, there was a song. So and they even like repeat it, and they're like, Mom, I said that the other day. I'm like, oh, good. And then I'll have individual songs that I sang to them at night, whatever.
Oh.
Started that. My mom started that with me, so then I did it. But that's, I don't know, that's kind of where it is. There's, the coping technique is a huge, huge one, though. It really, really is. If I can just talk about it just a little bit. If there's examples of different art therapy that you can like find examples where you can, it doesn't, so art just takes up your time. And it trains your hand-eye coordination and things like that. And other artists might not like me saying that, but when you're using art therapy or automatism or different, like look up the word automatism, it's where you just start creating art and it's not actually a planned art.
Okay.
And or you look at things as why are you drawing it this way or something, more so than what you're drawing. Then you can kind of use it as a coping technique, and it's how it makes you feel more than it is an exact duplicate of something. And I do actually have a couple examples. If we have some time, I'd love to show them to you.
You have them right there?
Yes, of course.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen this.
So this is one child. See this little girl?
How old was she?
She didn't do that when she added that later.
Right.
So I wanted to mention that. She added that later. But this part right here, when she was asked how divorce felt to her, this is what she drew.
Oh.
And we don't actually know what that means.
But to her, it means something. That's the thing. Yeah.
It means absolutely nothing. But when you can ask, how did it make you feel? And she was able to describe how it made her feel.
Yeah.
So her feelings were that that the green was warm like the grass. And it reminded her of the backyard. The red was more of a feeling of anger.
Uh,
So she was able to describe, she was 3.
oh.
Just describe, that. She can't draw like an exact scene of everything that happened, but she could put her feelings down.
Yeah.
So that's where art therapy comes in. So the next one I have is, you look at it and you look at it and it looks kind of violent. It's got all these dark colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you're like, oh my gosh, he must have really, really hard. Like, oh my gosh, this poor little child. But no, the black was his favorite color. The yellow, the mom's favorite color. This was like a purple sister's favorite color. It's not really purple, but it's the closest to purple is what was there. This was another one of his favorite colors. Dad's favorite color is gray. So he put all of the favorites in there.
Oh.
So everybody's an individual. Their colors are all represented. But you could look at it and be like, wow, that's so violent, poor child. So then I have to confess, this was my son's drawing.
Oh.
Then he drew this. So I can't really see his reflection, sorry. But he's saving me from a spider.
Oh, and it's got mom. It's got mom at the top. I think it's got.
Yeah, he's got mom here, and he's got a spider, and he's killing the spiders, which represents that he's thinking that he has to save me, which is not good. I didn't want him to think he had to save me. So then I had to have a discussion over, no. We're good. People argue all the time. This is just normal, and it's not just that Dad and I are arguing. This is just, people argue all the time. It's necessary for communication. So don't get so freaked out. Sorry. I mean, he was younger, so I didn't say it that way.
Yeah.
But that's the shortened version of it. But then if you want to get a little more complex, you can show like.
Oh, wow. How old? Who did that? Not who, but how old are they?
I did that one.
I was going to say, I thought, my God, a 3-year-old. Very impressed.
But in the program, I have the parents actually working on their own feelings.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So this is like keeping, like, this is a fruit, and it's keeping the family whole and looking at each separate person and the seed of the family. And even though it's cut in half and broken, it's still a beautiful piece of a fruit.
I love that you bring in artwork in, because through some of the work that I do as well, we do some art creative work, and I do get them to draw.
Really?
Yeah. Right at the early stages of the coaching, because I want them to engage. I don't want them to engage the intellect. I want them to engage a different part of their mind and in their brain, and be creative, and it becomes a very powerful source of creation. So.
Oh yes, I didn't know that, but yes, it can change like what you think you feel, you think you want. It can totally change your mind. And,
completely.
Visuals can totally how this one kind of changed. So for me, where I had drawn this, where this beautiful peach, which I don't actually like peaches, but peaches represent, a beautiful, fine tasting fruit. And my hand was actually drawn in here, like me just waiting for it to fall and be ripe and be perfect for me. And then I decided I didn't want that. I'm not waiting for anything. This fruit is there. Eventually it'll fall. And if I want to grab it, I'll grab it when it's ready. Like, when I'm ready. Like, maybe I don't even want it when it falls, but we'll see. Maybe I'll want it. Might be, I don't know. But so as I was drawing it, I was feeling this, and then I finally realized, no, that's not actually how I'm feeling at all.
Yeah.
Like, if the fruit falls and I want it, then it's cool. But I'm not going to sit and wait for something. No, I'm too busy for waiting.
You're making your life happen. I know.
I have this profession. I've got to help other people. Oh, dang it, I missed it. Oh, the bumblebees got it. It's cool. They're, the bugs are enjoying it. It's fine. There'll be another one tomorrow. It's not. I'm not waiting for anything. I'm just going to enjoy. So
I mean, it's been. I mean, I've learned a lot, because this is obviously I deal with the early stages of people getting together, and so you're dealing with a different stage. So it's it's been very enlightening, genuinely enlightening to me, and especially when women are coming to me and they've got children, if they're young children and they're divorced, it's something that's just adds another element that we've got to navigate. So I've actually learned a lot from you today, which is brilliant. And so I know you're based in America, I'm based in the UK, but you do have a way for people who are not based in America to work with you.
Yes, I work just as how you are right now over video conferencing software, and it's a 6-week program that usually extends a little bit further, depending on how long it takes for the families to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
Where you might think one decision is acceptable, and then the hardest part of that decision making is that I have them creatively imagine what the other parent thinks or wants.
Ah, wow, that's good. I like that.
Correct. But that's part of the whole adding the creative element to it is a lot of people come to me, they're like, I don't know what they want. And I'm thinking, you've been married for 7 years and you didn't know what they wanted? But okay, that shows where you guys had a breakdown.
Yeah.
And then I have them come up with, okay, so start problem solving, start throwing questions at them and say, okay, so there's this event. The event starts at 4, and the major part of the event starts at 7, but you're not able to get them there at 4. 7's too late. No one can drive at 6. So what time is this going to happen? So then they have to like quickly problem solve on what's going to happen here. And if they're like, well, it has to be my way, then I learn quickly that it's my way or the highway type person. And then I throw more art projects at them so they can learn to be more creative. Or, if it's, one example I have that I work with them is, so say the mom wants to go fishing and the dad wants to go canoeing.
Yeah.
And, what are you guys going to do? Well, you have a party at the lake, so you can do both, like it doesn't have to be one way or the other. And I start throwing them into like meetings, parent teacher conferences with the teachers together and not arguing and letting the teacher and not complaining. And one of the biggest things is the influences of others during the program. They are not allowed to have influences of others.
Right.
It's not acceptable. I want to know what they want to do. I don't want to know what their sister says they want to do, or their brother, or their best friend or anything. So the biggest advice, the biggest advice is for them to remember 24/7 mom, 24/7 dad. Look to the other parent to make decisions, even if they're together or not. And even if you're getting in a new relationship with another person, that other person is just a benefit, just another person to love, not another person to add decision making, problem solving things to. That's so stressful for another person to get involved with.
That's really interesting that you say that, because I've met moms, single parents who've gotten together with a guy and he's felt left out, and that's caused another conflict and tension in their relationship.
There is a place for them. And in the program, it's actually if they enjoy being the consultant. So example, I teach them how to act more like this, where mom says, okay, Ma, it's at mom's house.
Yeah.
It could be dad's too, but this example is at mom's house. Mom says, child, clean the room. One step parenting type is for the dad to come in and be like, hey, your mom said clean your room or else I'm taking your telephone.
Yeah.
That's very aggressive. That's not a consultant. That's very aggressive, taking over the dad role. The child is resentful. You're not my dad, whatever. Total argument happens over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But what if the new stepdad walks up and is like, hey, your mom's on her way home. You haven't cleaned your room yet. This will be interesting. Can I stand right here and watch?
Oh, wow.
Just stands there and was like, this is going to be fun. And then the child has a choice to either hurry up and clean the room or the stepdad has a great entertainment piece to sit back and watch. He doesn't have to be turned into the bad guy.
Yeah.
They already have a dad. There's no reason for this new person, but the stepdad still gets to be involved in an entertaining way that still teaches consequences and to let them know that they're involved.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
That's kind of how I am anyways, where I stand there and I look at the kids and I'm like, so this will be fun, because if you don't clean your room tonight, the alarm usually goes off at 6, but if you have to clean it in the morning, it'll be 5:30 when the alarm goes off. It'll be fun. I'll let you know in the morning when the alarm goes off. And then I'm like, oh.
I love your style, because just by listening to you, what I experience is that it's about them taking responsibility and understanding the consequences of their actions, like the real consequences. And that to me is powerful.
And being relative, being relative. So I guess with that being said, like, everything doesn't have to be so harsh though either. Like, sometimes we forget that we're supposed to be having fun.
I know, my goodness, I know. Yeah,
everything turns so serious. And with relationships, like, you can still have fun with your ex and go to Cedar Point, or not you guys, you don't.
Yeah,
Cedar Point.
But go somewhere.
Have an amusement park of some sort. Sorry, Cedar Point is our local one. So, you can still do things. And like, my daughter said to me the other day, she said, Mom, when I get older and I have my own car, I know we have our holiday schedule that on Christmas Eve we go here and on Christmas Day we go there. But if I have my own car, can I spend like a couple hours with you on Christmas Day and a couple hours with Dad on Christmas Day? And I'm like, I don't have a problem with that. What do you want to do? So, I mean, your question earlier, would you ask your kids if they said something?
Okay, because if they initiated it, right? Okay.
They initiate it because it's their, it's their feelings, and empathy and love are like the top. If you don't have empathy and love, then you have fear. You only have one or the other.
And it sounds, and they, and in the moment too, that it could be that one day they want to be with Mum that day, or they want to be with that dad that day. So there's got that flexibility there, instead of saying, well, today is your day with me, and it has to be with me.
Yeah, exactly. And some parents are still that way. Yeah. And once they get out of that routine of thinking about the overnight stays and child support, I don't know what it's called over there, the financial responsibilities for the parents. We call it child support here.
Yes, same.
Okay. So there's a lot of fights over child support and overnight stays and whatever. And with the kids' dad and I, like, I haven't sent him a bill for anything, and we have shared, custody, so it's 50-50. And I don't remember, we've been separated for 10 years, and it's been, well, oh my gosh, I've got to say more than 7 years where I've given a receipt to him to pay half anything.
Right.
Like, if I choose to buy something, okay. Like, I mean, their glasses are like, they're covered because we have health insurance. So maybe I'll pay this time, maybe he'll pay. But we really don't get in the middle of all of that. Once you take out all that financial crap, most of it doesn't even matter anymore.
Wow.
It's not, I don't do it. I just don't do it.
Well, thank you. Go on.
No, I just don't stick them with that subject. It's just, and don't get the kids involved either. Just leave that alone. The whole divorce thing. But
well, thank you so much. I mean, I've genuinely learned a lot. And so how can people get in contact with you wherever they are in the world? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Well, it's tranquilparenting.com.
Yeah.
Is the URL that I like the most. And then there is an application process. I do like to go through the process just to make sure it's a fit, because just because you're a parent, you want to learn more, there's a million things that you could learn more. But the program is a curriculum that I created myself.
Yeah.
And it's specifically written for parents who want to remove the conflict, find coping skills, co-parenting, or parallel parenting, whichever direction they want to go, and that they have these needs. It's not for there's other programs that if you're a parent and you're divorced, but you guys have different parenting styles, there's other programs too. So I would just, if it's something for this program and it's very, very, you guys are very, very frustrated and can't figure out how to, put everything aside and make decisions, that's kind of what this program's for. So if you're not in that position, then sure, I'll take the money, but it's just not a good fit, and then you're going to end up very unsatisfied. So that's why there's an application process. It's not necessarily for everyone.
Okay.
And so the application process is on there. It says apply here, application, or something like that. And my email address is Sonia, SONJA, at tranquilstudio.org. Okay. So if you want to email and have further questions, there's that. There's a Facebook page. It's Sonia Howell, Tranquil Parenting. That's pretty much the only forms of communication I use.
Okay, great. So I'll put all the links either above or below, wherever this is posted.
Wherever they like.
So thank you so much. Yeah, this has been
I hope I answered all your questions.
Oh my gosh, and more. It's very interesting, because I think it's important, like I said, whenever women are coming to me, because I specialize in working with women, I have them think about these things. And at the time, especially they're in the first throes of love, it's the last thing they're thinking about. But I get them to think about it because of all the reasons why you gave, because there's going to be a consequence down the line based on the decisions that they make. So I love everything that you said. Yeah, it's very important.
And keeping preventing cruelty to their children.
Year
later. Yeah, that's the mission of the program. And it's, they don't want to be the reason why cruelty has been brought to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Further more than the divorce. So exactly. I respect that you are thinking of that while you're more than matchmaking. I know you're not just matchmaking, you're helping them, figure out who they are and what they want. So, but definitely thinking of their children, and even their children down the line, if they don't have children now, the children that, because the biggest thing that I see divorced parents doing is saying, well, they're not a fit parent because of this, they're not a fit parent because of that. But when they met them, they haven't changed. They're the same person. So you met them, they were fine enough to have sex with, to multiply with, and now all of a sudden they're not fine enough to put a bottle in their child's mouth? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly. And because like we said at the beginning, divorce rates are 50% plus. The second marriage is even higher. Really what I want is to find the right match. So it's preferably for a very, very, very long time, so they don't end up getting divorced. So I love the work that you do, and it just links and ties in with everything that I do. And I love the creative part, because I think that's definitely very needed. And like you said, instead of people fighting, there's conflict, there is another way. And what I hear offering, that there is another way, there is a different solution that not only supports them as parents, as a mother, as a father, but obviously these little beings, or however old they are, and the generations moving forward. So it's powerful work you're doing. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Andrea.
You're more than welcome. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Have a great day.